I have done it. I have my 1.7.5 mod list. How is it different from my 1.7.3 mod list? Well, I've actually gone through every one of these mods and I've looked over the files that are in them and I've tried to figure out how to order them and which ones are duplicated, which ones are overwritten by other ones. And I've had to make some choices where in some cases two different mods overwrote the same, well, modifiers, and I had to make a choice. And it would come down to often like, well, I need this one and I want that one. So I'm going to take my need and hope that somebody writes a mod that includes the want later on. That'd be nice to have. And that author may have to be me one day. I don't know. But for right now, this is the mod list. This is what I've got here. Let me give the basics of it first. And then when I'm done going through the basics of this, then I'll have the advanced part, which you can see a hint of in the surrounding area there, about what I did to figure out these mods. And you could do it too. So if you want to be your own kind of mod policeman, well, here we go. But first, which ones do I have and why do I have them in this order? Because the other mod lists I had, I was making a good guess or doing it for appearances. These have a pretty good order to them. The first two here, the unofficial hotfix mod and the profiling-based optimization, these create a new layer of vanilla. So we've got the vanilla game as it ships. These two become a new base for all the other mods to go and modify. Why am I putting the optimization mod very close to the top? Because it has some files in it that some other mods are going to overwrite, or some areas, and I may lose some of the optimization, but I won't lose all of it. Whereas if I put it towards the end, I'll keep all of the optimization, but I may lose some of the mod flavor, and I'd rather preserve the flavor. If you are geared more towards performance and you don't care about the mod flavor, well then put it at the bottom, and when you do that, it may overwrite some mods, make some of these entirely useless. At any rate, these make the new layer of vanilla, so they've got to come first because everything's going to layer on top of vanilla. Then I have the map mods. These are ones that involve just GUI files. Clear Sky, Modern Political Map, More Informative Panel Tooltips, Plotline Plus, Shortage Fix, Save Game Delete Button, Extra Top Bar Info. These all deal with the GUI files. They will modify the map, modify the toolbars, the outliner, whatever. They're just there. And really, these are quality of life mods. If you're thinking if you think you don't want any mods that change the base game mechanics, these do not do that. All they do is change the way that things look and the way information is presented to you. The same can be said for base price tag. This also puts information into the GUI that allows you to see more price information for all of your goods. And now we start into the changes that I look at for. The first one is choose map color. I leave this disabled because if I don't disable it, then I'm always going to have an available decision thingy in my little annoying number at the top. If I have this disabled, then when I have a real decision to make, I could do that. I'll turn this on if I can't stand the color my country is, like a brown Germany, and I want to make it back to steel blue. I could load this one up, execute that, unload the mod, but Germany stays the color, it'll be fine. So that's that one there. Power plant not local and transportation not local. Both of these make a simple change in the power plant and transportation to where they're not local. But they're not tradable either. You can't sell them out of your market. That's very good for keeping you from having to have power plants in every single province and having excesses of transportation all over the place, not able to take care of one place. It's like -1 on transportation and suddenly has a shortage. Ugh. I keep famous infamy. This changes the levels of infamy from 25, 50, 100 to 50, 75, 100. So the topmost level is still like, wow, you got 100 infamy. You bad. But gives you more room to play around with by having up to 50 for your play. So you could get a little more grabby. And yes, the AI gets a little more grabby, but I kind of like that. If you don't want a grabby game, Turn off famous infamy. And certainly if you want to play Velvet Empire style and just build your own trade network and dominate through diplomacy, having that turned off will absolutely keep the AI away from your doorstep or that of your little spherelings. Irregular nerf, I think, is still needed because irregular troops are just too strong in the game right now. This knocks their strength down some. Rarer, powerful interest groups modifies it to where interest groups are not going to hit powerful as often as they do in the base game. And that I feel this helps with the politics. You have to be really strong to be powerful, and that means you'll have fewer powerful interest groups in your country at any given time. The Boxer Rebellion fixes are here. Defensive recapture nerfed. I looked at the vanilla files and I could see here's where they have it. The Boxer Rebellion fix just makes it to where it's more likely to fire. You don't have to meet as many, or the criteria aren't as tight on it. And defensive recapture nerfed means if you want to retake territory, you don't just defend well, you have to go on the attack to get your territory back. Urban-centered electricity generation, that will generate electricity if you're an urban center, which is nice to have when you're just starting out and you have no power plants to speak of. That'll help there. Cold water ports, this is a thing we can overlay in the game. It works well with other mods. Better Natural Harbor actually has a line of code built to work with cold water ports, and I think it should be loaded after cold water ports. Just looking at how the files are, you'll get a better result if you load Better Natural Harbor after cold water ports. Having said this, there's a few other map changing mods that either are incorporated into the vanilla game, like the Southern European traits got incorporated, or they're incorporated into other mods that I have that are larger in scope. So you'll see them missing here. Again, I've gone from 80 to about 60 mods. I feel good about my mod diet. And then right before I did this video, I added one more. There's always one more mod, right? No flu. We still need this in the game because the flu is broke. So this makes sure it doesn't happen. I wish it would, and I wish it worked. But anyway. Sweet, sweet, sweet victory helps with getting victory from battles. It's still needed. Welfare payments fixed at the start of the game. Britain, France, and China have welfare systems active, and they're paying a lot of money on there. Turning it down like this allows them to have some better cash reserves or better cash flow at the very beginning of the game, and they can handle it a lot better. So I keep that. Upgradable everything allows the AI to do the upgrades all the way up. For the human player, now, don't use this as an exploit to turn your monitors into battleships. You build your own on your own. You know how to do it. The AI doesn't. It needs help. It's dumb. It needs to cheat. This is a cheat for the AI, not for you. Now, if you use it and you come up at the end of the game going, wow, I was way too powerful. Well, did you upgrade your monitors directly into battleships and stuff like that? Your ironclads to battleships, your monitors to scout cruisers? Did you do that? Yeah. Well, you shouldn't have. Did you upgrade your cavalry directly into tanks? Yeah. Well, you shouldn't have. But I could click the button. Well, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And if you don't have this, then the AI never upgrades. And you get to a point where, hey, if I delete my stuff and build the good things, I'll just wipe them out totally. That's not working as designed there. Sink and stay sunk means the fleet has to be, well, I mean, they will not return to battle until they've made a lot of repairs. So they say sunk. And that means it's easier to have decisive naval battles. Wages impact prestige from Navy. For some reason in the vanilla game, you increase your military thingy on the budget and only the Army benefits. This will help the Navy benefit. Join ongoing wars, just like it sounds, allows you to join an ongoing war if you're on good terms with one of the parties that's involved. Less reactionary beliefs. This is something that you can toggle things around at the beginning of the game and allows you to set it to where you don't ping pong your way up to reforms. That is, you don't pass or you don't You don't pass a reform to get the reactionary group angry and then rip it away so that way you can go jump ahead to the next level of reform, because by ripping away the reform you passed, then you make all these people mad and now they want to. This allows it to be where if you pass one level of reform, that you can have it where that group that then leads to passing the next level and the next level, which is more of the gradualism that we see in history, not the zigzag. Like, okay, we're going to pass census voting. Oh no, we're going to get rid of all voting. Now we go to universal suffrage. No, that's not really how it should go. But this helps to fix that, along with other things there. Military PM production method AI fix still needed in 1.7, where we help the military get better production methods for their, or for the AI get better production methods for its military. Still need that. Double incorporation speed. I like that because I think the lengths chosen in the game are a bit much. Again, it's an arbitrary call. What is incorporation exactly? Well, I say it's faster, so I use this one. If you think it's cheaty, don't use it. You're fine. Investment rights last longer. This one forces an investment deal to last at least 5 years. Cannot be yanked away, so you have a chance to build the factories before the country gets mad enough at you to shut down the deal and then nationalize them. But no, you do get five years. I checked it. It's got 60 months. Fixed government throughput. This changes one line of code that makes it where you're going to have better throughput of government-owned industries. They're not going to be crippled by being government-owned. And if you think, well, they should be crippled because they're government-owned. Well, okay, hold on there. Slow your roll there, laissez-faire cowboy. You've fallen for some propaganda there, said The Economist. They're not that inefficient all the dang time. What about in Russia? That's a different case entirely. And believe me, I've seen plenty of market-owned or privately owned companies that were really inefficient. So don't tell me they're more efficient. I've seen government and I've seen regular stuff, and it's a mixed bag. We'll just say that. And this one gets rid of that malice on government-owned stuff there. Less productive subsistence. This is the one I added today. I made the list, thought, okay, we're ready to go. I'll check the mods to see that. Oh, I got to have that. And what I did is I compared it to the actual settings. And that's what I have here, almost ready to go for my little comparison shopping, whatever there. But it means that the subsistence farms will make as much wheat, as much grain as they do normally, but half as much of everything else. So no longer will you have it be where your furniture factories are just got nothing to do because your subsistence farms took over. This halves that output, and now you can have more functional, lower-end industries because they're not dealing with so much competition from subsistence farms. And because the grain production is constant, you're not going to have starvation. You will have a drop in standard of living at the beginning of the game because, well, your subsistence farms are not as productive as vanilla says they should be. And then whoosh, it'll drop. Deal with it. Just deal with it. Everybody's going to have unrest. Figure it out. Come on. Build some factories. Don't go conquering right away. Build some factories. Feed your people. Then they'll be happy. And then they'll be so glad that their standard of living went up. Pop demand tweak. Okay. Now this guy changes the demand for goods. It adds a lot more things in there so that the base game says you should have like just basic food should be wheat and meat and fish. We're out. This is, hey, even poor people want to eat some groceries, right? And it will help add other categories to population demands. Having looked it over, I really like it. Now, I did find another mod that had a little bit of a conflict with it, so I just loaded it afterward, and I'm fine. So moving on here, we've got hyper-aggressive pop merging. That does what it says. It hyperly aggressive, aggressively merges pops, turns it up there. Yeet pop fragments will get rid of population fragments. So these two work together to improve performance with small population groups. And I know it's not realistic, but it helps performance on the game. And that's what I do. Canals add company capacity. You build a canal. You have a choice with this mod. Either one, you get a new company when you build a canal, and you should use it to make a canal company. You're on your Scout's honor for that. Or you could have it be where after you build the canal and get the company for that canal and it's prosperous, then you get a bonus company as a benefit. I've played it both ways. I like the one where you build the canal, then you get the company. Just so that way I could add that one and not have the other way around. I built the canal, great. Now I got to remove a company, put in the canal company, get it to prosperity, and then add back one of the companies that I got rid of or get a new one. I'll play it this way because I do what I can to build the canals. I do my duty there. Monroe Doctrine will help the USA keep other people out of its backyard. I know a proper Monroe Doctrine thing should be, I don't know, a bunch of journal entries like a great game, and where you have the British Navy kind of working with you, and if Britain and America keep improving their relationships, they can eventually over time work it out and all this stuff and hand over hegemony from Britain to America at the end of the period and all that stuff there. But this is a simple fix. It just means if another country tries a hostile diplomatic play against something in the Americas, the United States can say, no, we're not doing that. If the USA is busy with a civil war, it may not say no. You get in at that time. That's what France did in real life. If you're adding countries to your bloc and then you intervene in their actions, and because you're supporting them in a war, you make them your subject, that ain't violating the Monroe Doctrine. Or the USA may have to do other things to get rid of you, but you kind of sneaked in on the down low, on the sly there. But there are ways around it. But generally, if you're going to try to conquer the Americas, that's one where you say you've got to go through the USA first, and you usually can't afford that. They can raise a lot of conscript. Oh my gosh! No, don't start a land war with the USA. Okay, military treaties for militias. Yeah, why not? This means that the USA could start a military treaty at the beginning of the game when it's got the national militia. Just let them. I mean, it's a great power. Why not? Better decrees gives me more variety of decrees to assign and tweaks them there, so they are better, and that goes very well with law and authority, which means as we add institutional levels in certain institutions, we get more authority to go with them because we have more regulatory capacity and law enforcement power, things like that. I like them both. They're very nice. They go well together. Then we get into a flavory one here, Federal Austria-Hungary. I checked it with other mods. It's self-contained. It allows a Danubian confederation to form, which is nice. I haven't seen it happen, except in like one game. But it could, so it's there. Liberate country as subject. One of my favorite ones. I fight a war, I liberate a country, and wait a minute, country, not so fast. You owe me a favor because I liberated you. And then the rest of the world is shocked as I make you my protectorate, my dominion, or my puppet. Ha 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 ha. Dance, puppet, dance. Yeah, I really think that should be part of the base game. Liberate country as subject. You liberate a country and then, not so fast. It was that way in Victoria 3, or at least in modded Victoria 3. I remember that. I could free a country as a protectorate or free a country as a, something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's good. Free him as a puppet. You take some infamy hit, but you got that stuff there. Culture in shackles. This one needs to load before my Hail Columbia mod because of the way it works with slavery. Hail Columbia does some other things in the slavery file, and I think that it's a good trade-off there. This does a lot of good stuff, and it won't. By having Hail Columbia, I'm going to lose a little bit of functionality in this mod, but otherwise, it's going to keep it being from having slave populations retaining their identity in the new country. Normally, what would happen is you'd have just slaves taken from all around the world in the slave trade and brought to an area, and they would tend to combine into an Afro something culture there. They would just tend to combine. So rather than having lacustrine Bantu be a group that would move in and then actually become a dominant, because of the slave trade, it would become a dominant culture in that area. Instead, it becomes Afro-Antillean, Afro-American, Afro-Brazilian, and so forth. This helps, well, not only with realism, but also with maintaining population cohesions. Pushes them together, and you don't have a lot of little different ones. You have a larger population there. Competitive AI economy and trade rework. All right, now we're getting into some flavor areas here. Trade rework will work fine if it loads after competitive AI economy. Pay no attention to my phone there. I did turn the alarm off. But competitive AI economy changes some defines for how goods are traded and worked with. Okay, I just muted my phone. We can go back to this. But yeah, it'll make decisions to help the AI be more competitive in how it buys and sells and trades and all that. What about all the other files that may be making changes to defines and modifiers? Well, I checked them. It doesn't conflict with any of them. Nobody else is trying to change the same things that one is trying to change. So I like its position in the load order right there. Next is industry realism. Oh, I said, well, trade rework. This will increase the volume of trade and expand it and allow you to trade more. Okay, now industry realism and political and economic changes. These are two of my favorite mods for mechanics. Industry realism, you get one factory, one good. Splits them out, does a fantastic job of it, does a little tweaking on some other settings so that way the AI can do it right. Works wonderfully. Political and economic changes. All right. It makes some political changes and it makes some economic changes. The political changes are where you can have your interest groups that are being sidelined reinvent themselves, particularly the ones that are very strong conservative groups at the start of the game. Rather than have them erode entirely, they can reinvent themselves and keep a conservative thread going in your politics throughout the game. I think that's vital to have. Not because I believe the conservatism is right. No, I believe that for historical balance, it should be where just because the landowners lost their king doesn't mean they all sulk away and go down to 2% and disappear. No, they change themselves and say, okay, we're going to have a Republican form of government. Yay! Say all the liberals over here. But we want to be strict about some things. Oh, come on, man. And they just change themselves. Same thing with the church or other groups. If they're falling out of favor, they will reinvent themselves and embrace some new ideas, but they will keep a lot of the old ones. Those are good political changes. For economic changes, it adds business cycles, booms, busts, depressions. Good economic times allows you to do some central banking. It's very powerful that way. I love it. And of course, there's a com patch to go with it. The two authors, I get to talk with them on my Discord server, and they're able to coordinate with each other. It's wonderful to watch them working together. Teamwork makes the dream work. So I have those in there. Then Gilded Age, Greece Byzantium, and the Balkans flavor, and Hail Columbia. 3 flavor packs. And actually, they don't really step on each other all that much. Now, I load Gilded Age first, because that covers lots of stuff. It is a big tent mod. It changes loads. But you get, with your Gilded Age, you get Crimean Wars, you get limited colonization in Africa. You get colonization in Africa that sorts itself out, where before everything takes off, you get to consolidate your coastlines and make claims on areas that no one else gets. Loads of really cool flavor in the Gilded Age. I do not want to play without it. Then Greece Byzantium and the Balkans flavor, that is focused on, guess what? Greece Byzantium and the Balkans. For me, it's not Byzantium so much as Greece and the Balkans. And I've seen it actually start to turn and tear at the fabric of the Ottoman Empire in that area. This is the flavor that Victoria 3 needs so much. Oh, man. Having both of those going at the same time in my most recent playthrough, spoiler alert, I had some mod issues and had to do this very exercise so I could keep playing it. But once I did it, it worked out great. Anyway, but having those factors in there, it made a wonderful difference. I'm very, very much in favor of these. And Hail Columbia. Hail Columbia will change the way the United States looks. You'll go, what happened? It's almost all Indian territory. Right. The way it was historically. The U.S. just drew a bunch of blue on the map and said, that's ours. But they had not actually taken possession of it. They just claimed it. They settled it eventually. Same thing with Mexico. Same thing with the Canadian settlement. It was not all suddenly poof, pink, and everybody comes in. They had to move out there and deal with the native tribes and so forth. So much so that by the end of the game, you may not have a Canada that reaches all the way to the Arctic Circle. And, well, hi, history. How you doing? That's kind of the way it went. And more flavor for the USA. It includes mods that would help out with the Civil War and some other things. Fantastic. I love that one. Now, these guys make lots of changes, so it's important to load the rest of these mods after the ones that are here. And if you get my little JSON file that I keep on my Discord server, it's pinned to a channel. If you get that, it has this load order here. What you see here is what's in that JSON file, and I've tested it. It works fine together. And this will allow some of these mods to come forward. And I realized that in earlier mod files, I had these buried under other ones. And I was wondering, why do I not see it? Or why does it look like the functionality is a bit off? It's because the load order was wrong. Now the load order is right. So having Omani, Kenya coming in here, this means that little strip of Kenya is no longer settleable. It's now part of Oman or Zanzibar, so the British can't come in and snake Kenya early. By the way, I have to say also in the Gilded Age mod, I got to go back up here. This breaks things into many, many, many more strategic regions. I think you get 40 something in the base game. It's almost 60 or more. I mean, it's a huge amount, or 7 or whatever it is. They have a lot more that you can choose from. And Kenya moves from East Africa to Ethiopia is just one example of it. I really like that. I really like that. So Omani, Kenya keeps that from happening. Make my railway profitable again. This is an important one. And I had to choose between this and another one. And I needed what this one does. It adds more transport to your rails. The other one I wanted, it added some more market strength, but I needed this. The first mod I write, should I write one, will be to take the functionality from that one mod and put it in here, and then claim it for myself. No, I'll give credit to mod authors and such, because that's the right thing to do, Anyway, but this one helps with transportation, so you're not stuck for it and trying to find it at the end. Know when to fold them. This helps countries end their wars in a timely fashion, so get them out of there. Raj fix, this is something that, like, if the Raj becomes a protectorate, you need a little tweak just to make it look nice. So I do it there. British Chartism, it has one character that is trying to do Chartism, and the base game has him as part of the trade unions. And in 1836, they have no power, so he does nothing. This one makes him an intellectual, which is powerful, and allows them to get a little more Chartism going and diplomatic it up in the Britain, or democratic it up in the Britons. There we go. Revolution pushes the reform. I had it going in one game and wondered why. It looked like it should have fired, but we're just passing the law like normal. But I had other games where before that it was working. And, well, I changed the load order of some stuff, and some of those flavor packs you saw over right here, having this come at the end, it's close enough to the other ones. Having this at the end is going to be fine, just fine. So this will mean that if you have a revolution, because let's say you're passing a presidential republic and all your monarchists are up in revolution, well then, bam, they rise in revolution, you pass presidential republic the very next day, and you can get to work on your next law while they're up in rebellion. Battle of the Alamo. This is if you want to make sure Texas survives or give it the best chance of survival that you can, you turn this on. In the Hail Columbia pack, it already gives a boost for Texas survival. This gives a super boost for it. And it's just to keep it as an entity. It's eventually going to merge with the USA. Don't worry about it. If you're going to play on your own, you don't need this on, unless you want to play Superpower Texas. Power plant spam fix. I used to keep this with the other two about the power plant not local and transportation not local, but power plant spam fix, it actually gets stepped on by some of these other mods, so it needs to come at the end because it changes one line and it keeps electricity from being used for personal heat. So that means if you have these massive city centers and you get electricity available, you don't suddenly have this demand for 8,000 units of electricity because your people say, oh, well, then I'll use electricity for heating then. Give it to me right now. No, they're going to use wood, coal, whatever else, but they're not going to use electricity. And therefore, you don't have to spam out thousands of power plants to keep all your people warm. You only need the power plant for your industry and needs of that sort, which is really good. Yagami's Better AI is just a straight up cheat file. It tells the AI you get a +2 to this, +2 to that, +10% of this. Just straight up give them some buffs. And they're just all contained with themselves. They're given their own name. There's no mod that really overwrites it, but I put it at the end just in case because I want to make sure that loads to help my poor AI out. And then finally, mods that deal with console access and cheat menus. If I need them, they're there. I have used the free console access one because I was working with some other stuff and I said I need to get this event to end the way I think it should end. Something got broke. Worked fine. And then advanced cheat menu. I haven't turned it on. If you find a better cheat menu, whatever. That's great, you know. And if I don't like this one, I'll get something else. It's just there's a placeholder in case I need to cheat to fix something in the game that looks like it got broke. But like I said, I haven't had to use it. All right, so that's the first 32 minutes, walking through all the mods, what they do. This is available on my Discord server. Just go to, it's in the channel information. Just go to the link. You could sign on there. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to agree with anyone else. You can just go there and find what's pinned. And I've got instructions on how to import all of this into your Victoria 3 game and have a good playset going. Now, for those who want the advanced stuff, let me talk about how to make sense or how to use some tools to read these mod files and figure out what's going on. So if you don't need the advanced stuff, you could actually like, comment, and subscribe right now and just let it run in the background if you need sleep content. But for the rest of you who are interested in how you can make your own mods, playsets more effectively organized, let's get into that. All right. So I got all these mod sets, what I could do with each one of them. And let's go to my new one here, Less Protective Subsistence. I've got these 3 dots here, and I can open in Steam Workshop. That takes me to the page where I could subscribe or make comment or whatever, but also show in folder. This takes me to the mod folder. Da-da-da! Notice how I turned white because of all the light there. But it takes me to that mod folder where I'm able to see all the files for that mod. The metadata one has a JSON file. That's what that JSON is. JSON file that just says, hi, I'm a mod. And this is my name and what I do. You got a thumbnail, which is the picture you see right here. And sometimes if I'm in a mod and I'm going, which mod is this? I'll click on the thumbnail and go, oh, that's the mod it is. Okay, cool. Then you got folders that are the containers for the files that the mod works with. And this goes common, production methods, LPS subsistence.txt. All right, well, what's in that? Because you see, a lot of these mods will make new files that have a prefix of their own mod name, which I think is great. This is better than overwriting all of a file. There's one really important file in the game called defines, and it's about 140K in size. Well, if you take that entire file and say copy it into your mod, you will potentially overwrite every other mod that is trying to change one or two elements in that defines file. So that's why some of these mods, they'll just make their own little define statement, and that's that. And it changes a value in the basic file, but it does it kind of outside that file. That's what I like to see, where you don't have to overwrite the actual vanilla file to make your mod work. You have less chance of incompatibility with other mods. Having said that, there are some mods that the only way they're going to work is if they take a vanilla file and overwrite it. Well, let's see what we have here in LPS subsistence txt. I guarantee nobody else has a file by that name, but I look in here and it says, default building subsistence farms. Okay, well, I know that's a building that's in the base game, right? Yeah, we're not making a new one. Well, I want to know, do I have any other mods that impact that? And I'd also like to see what is the impact relative to vanilla. Okay, so I'll highlight that term, Control C, and I go to this other tool I have called Doc Fetcher. Should I show what it looks like? Okay, here we go then. I'm going to Google Doc Fetcher, and we go to docfetcher dot whatever dot that's Doc Fetcher. And this is exactly what the website looks like, and all the instructions you need are right here. Downloaded it, got it going, and what you do is you just take the term I copied, and I just Control V, paste it in here, hit search, boom. And it tells me everywhere that I have an instance of that in a file in my directories. So which directories do I add? Well, my search scope includes the 529340 folder. If I look at this, here we go, open folder. All right, and if I click on here, you can see that's in my program file, Steam Apps Workshop content 529340, which is dun 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 Victoria 3, and these are all my mods right there. Okay, and likewise, I have added the game folder, which is yada yada yada, the Steam Apps Common Victoria 3 game, which has got all the game files in there. So I added these. It took about a minute for each one to index completely. I mean, both of them in total, I think, took a minute, maybe a minute and a half. It was quick. And so these thousands of files, all the text in them is now indexed, and I can right away find where it is. Okay, so we've got this LPS subsistence.txt, and I can see by its location it's in a mod. And I see by the other location they're in Victoria 3 game. So that means these are vanilla files. I don't have any other mod that makes a reference to subsistence farms. Cool. All right, so let's look at this one here. The first one, it just says this is a building type. This is not the one I'm looking for. Here's LPS subsistence, which I have open in my notepad. And then this is the vanilla version. Great. Now I can have them side by side, and you can size them on your screen however you want, and I can read along. It says, okay, workforce scale 55, 1.0.5.5.5. 1.0 for grain, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. So it's reduced the amount of fabric, wood, and services there. Aha. It's cut in half. This is good, I thought. Then I can go through the other ones here. Grain ad, fabric ad, wood ad, they're half of what I see here. And if I go through the rest of this, I'll see that, this is a half of everything. This is great. No other mod do I have doing this. So I know that really the load order doesn't matter for this mod. I'll just put it at the beginning because I like to. But I could put it in any order I want. If I look at another one here, like let's type in defines. I think it's OO defines. There we go. Just hit search. There we go. All right. Okay, so we have, here it is, yeah. Defines.txt. and that's in my Victoria 3 game here. I've also got it in several other things doing defines. I see some default strategy.txt's, and these go with different, they go with different mods because you can see they have different numbers here. And I compared the default strategy. Some of them were some of them are from the 2 fixes that we had at the very top of the set. They're just tweaking things. And then some of these default strategies are from actual mods loading later in the game. And I compared them. And this really helps a lot in being able to do that. Let's go to another mod, shall we? Like one that I said I wanted to do in a different order. Trade rework. Show in folder. Okay, here's my trade rework. Defines, TR defines. Okay, we have these here. And I went through each of them, and I wasn't getting matches on other mods for the most part. And then I had this one here, trade route max level. And I put that in, and there it is with CAE. Aha. Okay. And this one sets it at 1,000. And this mod sets it at lots of 9s, so they can be higher. Well, obviously, if I want to have very large trade routes, I'll have this mod load after the CAE. And what is that mod but a competitive AI economy? I went back, found what's CAE stand for? And I found the icon. Oh, that's the one. Okay, I got it. And so because I want the trade rework one to have that little entry ahead of that, it's fine. Because it's just the order in which that particular define is defined. Now, all the other ones in competitive AI economy stand on their own. There's this one touches none of those, and vice versa. Competitive AI only steps on that one define that this one works with. So since there's only the one that they share, if I load trade rework after competitive AI economy, I'll get the benefit of both, because this one changes things that doesn't, and that one changes things this doesn't. That's the only one they have in common. And I was able to use this to help locate exactly which mod order I should use. And that's why I can say, load this one after the others, load this one before those others. I know what's going on in my mods this time. I feel like, this is something I owe the audience, because I'm putting myself out there as some kind of expert. I should be some kind of expert. I shouldn't just be guessing, well, I like this mod, I should put it around here somewhere. I should be coming right out and saying they should go in this order. This is the advanced stuff. Now, how do you use it? Well, just like I did. Show in folder, bring it up, get your doc fetcher. It's a freeware. It's open source. I got no compensation for recommending it. They'll get nothing if you use it because it's free. If you want to go with the pro version, that's up to you. I just use the free one, but hey, The point being, some really nice people made a thing that allows me to index all of my text documents, and then I could use those to figure out which mods contain which factors in them and compare them against each other. And if you're a mod writer, you could basically use this to check out, like, hey, you've got a whole bunch of other mods. Find out if they're modding the things that you want to mod, or if you need to change something in there. You could use this to help find text across all your files, and it's very effective, very impactful that way. I had a lot of fun doing it. And now I'd like very much to end this video and go back to playing some of my Victoria 3 game, because it's a fun thing to do. Fun thing to do. And I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you don't mind if I get cut off in the middle of a sentence, because that happens sometimes in videos. Even though I've gotten better about it, sometimes I just cut off right in the